There's no doubt about it. Elden Ring's bosses are a step up for From Software. They offer immense variety, clearly inspired by the spread of FromSoft's past hardcore epics. Needless to say, that's also what makes them so challenging. They're more than a match for the average player, yet they're such an amazing spectacle that you want more. Before we dive in though, let's note that a player's experience depends heavily on their build and level. Here Amar is running a Faith Dex hybrid build with Bloodhound's Fang as his primary weapon. With that said, let's get to it. Number 15, Godrick the Grafted. Considered the runt of the litter amongst the demigods, Godrick the Grafted is nonetheless a tough challenge for the early game. Appearing after Margit the Fell Omen, Godrick is yet another reminder that spamming dodge doesn't work. He has delayed attacks paired with a fast follow-up. His gigantic ground stomps force you to time your jumps while his wind attacks require precise rolling. However, sticking close and learning his moveset gives you plenty of openings. In what is one of the most terrifying Elden Ring boss fight cutscenes, Godrick cuts his own arm off only to replace it with a dragon head, introducing a variety of dragon fire moves. There are fire-infused wind attacks, grabs, and dragon breath to deal with. Very impressive. Number 14. Full-grown Fallingstar Beast. Next up, the full-grown Fallingstar Beast is one of the many Elden Ring bosses who makes use of gravity magic. However, few of them are as dangerous as this beast. Located at a crater in Mount Gilmer, this cosmic ball is relentlessly aggressive and super tanky. He has lethal physical and gravity moves that cover short and long distance easily. From tail swipes and bolt charges to beams and gravity-based rock attacks, the full-grown Fallingstar Beast lives up to its name. Number 13, Commander Niall. Neither a main boss nor mandatory, Commander Niall is still one of the hardest fights in Elden Ring. First, he summons two knights as you traverse the fog. Both knights can close the distance in an instant and apply frostbite with each hit. To make matters worse, the boss arena isn't spacious. All the more harrowing, after the knights, Commander Niall himself is a tremendous challenge. Frostbite-inducing tornadoes and lightning attacks are Commander Niall's bread and butter. Not to mention that his lightning kicks can pretty much one-shot you. What's more is that even if you do manage to get behind him, he'll thrust his spear back and catch you off guard. You really need to hone your reflexes to surprise this commander. Number 12. Lichdragon Fortissax. Most dragons aren't so difficult after years of towering beasts in Dark Souls. However, no torrent coupled with Lichdragon's chaotic moveset makes this dragon an exception from the rest. As part of Fia's quest, Lichdragon makes use of Death Blight and Lightning as its main arsenal. It is a spell similar to Draconic Tree Sentinel and Dragonlord Placidusax, where a lightning bolt lingers on you, striking after a few moments. It also slams two massive lightning bolts in the ground that spread out like waves. There's a lot to deal with. Further into the fight, the dragon will summon Death Blight smokes all over the map and continue its lightning onslaught all the while. You absolutely need to mind your positioning at all times when facing this guy. Number 11. Elden Beast. Just shying away from the top 10 hardest, we have the final boss of the game, Elden Beast. This Elden Ring representative deploys a variety of holy magic spells. Add to that the fact that this Elden Beast has a tendency to swim across the arena every time you get close, making you juke all that territory all over again. It's insane. However, there's a bright side. Besides the Elden Star's magic spell, all of Elden Beast's moves are easy enough to evade. If it summons the Elden Ring on the ground, run back and jump over the rings. Rolling through the long-range sword slashes inspired by Divine Dragon in Sekiro is intuitive as well. The final boss of Elden Ring is truly a game of patience. Also, the Elden Beast is way too different from the other Elden Ring final boss to be considered as one boss fight. And now we're getting into it, the top 10. Number 10. Dragonlord Placidusax. If you thought Lichdragon was tough, you haven't seen anything till you face the Dragonlord. Considered an outer god in of itself, the two-headed dragon has a relatively mild first phase, relying mostly on slow lightning claws, targeted lightning strikes from above, and backwards fire breath that reaches to its legs. As a melee build, the best thing to do is run behind and keep hitting the tail. So far, so simple. The hardest part is when it disappears into thin air. Without warning, it'll swoop in with a huge claw attack. It'll keep disappearing in and out repeatedly using those claw attacks, striking without warning. These will keep intensifying, culminating in an amazing Dragon Breath laser barrage as one of the hardest hitting attacks in the entire game. The Dragonlord may be huge, but it doesn't lack in speed, earning it a place on our top 10. Number 9. Margit the Fell Omen. Margit teaches players the ABCs of Elden Ring the hard way. If the Tree Sentinel didn't deter you, Margit definitely will, while at the same time making you want to explore, level up, and get better weapons. Margit is a nightmare, especially for melee builds thanks to his double hit dagger move that he pulls out when you get close to it. His second phase is even more difficult as he summons more weapons and becomes increasingly aggressive, all while having weird combo timings. The narrow arena doesn't help either. Number 8. Mohg, Lord of Blood. And if you thought Margit was bad, just wait for Mohg. With Mohg, you not only again have to deal with a narrow space, but he will make it worse by throwing around Blood Flame that increases your bleed with each tick. He will also combo this with slow but hard-hitting spear attacks. Now as you start getting used to it, Mohg will start chanting Niall 3 times, extinguishing each of the 3 rings around you, dealing blood loss damage to you, and lifesteal heal to him. He'll combine this with slow but hard-hitting spear attacks. Revealing his wings and an enhanced spear for phase 2, Mohg incorporates airborne strikes for good measure. Each spear attack leaves behind traces of blood flame on the ground, leaving you very little room to maneuver. To ease the pain, you can make use of Mohg's Shackle and a special Wanderous Physics formula to deal with the Niall. To boot, Mohg is easily one of the most rewarding Elden Ring bosses, dropping a whopping 40 to 100,000 runes upon death. Number 7. Morgott the Omen King. The true version of Margit the Fell Omen, Morgott the Omen King does everything Margit can and more. Perhaps the most advantageous points here are the bigger arena, and that you can use Margit's Shackle in this fight as well, seeing as they are both the same person. What makes this fight so hard though is that Morgott doesn't take a breath. He'll keep dishing out combos till you run out of stamina. He's also an agile boss like Maliketh, never staying in place for too long. His summoned weapons from before are more lethal than ever, each now thoroughly enhanced. New sword and hammer combos that complement his cursed sword mean you're always unsure about his next move. His summoned spear throws and thrusts allow him to pressure you from across the arena to boot. With that said, it is a beautiful fight, equal parts one of the hardest fights in the game by far, and one of the best. Number 6. General Radahn. Conqueror of the Stars, General Radahn is located deep in the east of the Caelid Wilds. The only boss to allow multiple NPC summons, facing the Star Scourge is one heck of a challenge. You first have to make your way to him as he launches gravity arrows at you. Then you need to summon NPCs and juke arrows at the same time. When you finally make your way to him, be prepared for powerful sword slashes while he's drifting on and about with his trusted steed. His massive strikes and AoE gravity moves ensure that your allies don't last long. In phase 2, his combo attacks with new gravity orb based spells quickly track you down. Any 2 of those 4 meteors by his side will hit you before you know it, and that's game over. Number 5. Maliketh the Black Blade. Starting off the top 5 hardest is the holder of the Rune of Death himself, Maliketh the Black Blade. Compared to other Elden Ring bosses, Maliketh is actually quite squishy. However, he more than makes up for that with his insane damage and hard-to-read moveset. It starts off with you fighting the Beast Clergyman, identical to the one at Bestial Sanctum in Caelid. His primary moves include quick dagger swipes and a few beast incantations such as the Beast Claw. These incantations are tough to deal with as they have great range and require well-timed dodges. Maliketh is amazingly mobile, capable of jumping on pillars and delivering ranged strikes mid-air. Another aspect that makes Maliketh terrifying is how he can reduce your maximum HP through his blade attacks. It takes just one hit to make you search frantically for your flats. Among Elden Ring's many bosses, none besides Maliketh can consistently go toe-to-toe against Malenia. That's saying something. Number 4.
My name as Godfrey, the first Elden Lord.
Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, is as devastating as you can imagine. His immensely powerful axe can throw you off repeatedly, and once you get him to around 75% of his health, his stomps send a shockwave across the arena. He also forces his axe into the ground, creating a massive fissure only to blast it open with boulders shooting up. What makes Godfrey remarkable is that every single one of his attacks just screams power. He goes absolutely berserk in Phase 2, ripping his lion Shorsho and embracing his inner bloodlust as Hora Los. He even lets go of his axe, instead facing us man to man with bare hands and feet, grapples, stomps, earth-shattering fissures, and kicks. They're all super impactful and require impeccable timing on your part if you wish to make it through alive. Number 3. Godskin Duo. Godskin Noble and Apostle individually are among the hardest bosses in Elden Ring. However, From Software just like, hey, what if we threw them together against you in a ring? Because why not? If that wasn't enough, until their shared health bar is finished, they will keep respawning after death. Yes! Thankfully, the arena features pillars for you to have any hope against Godskin Noble's rolling onslaught, but they don't really last long. Any of the Godskin's Phase 2 attacks can destroy these pillars, so there you go. Godskin Apostle is easier to deal with, so just keep attacking him and save Noble for later. And it goes without saying, you don't want them both in Phase 2 at the same time. Speaking of terrible 2s, number 2, Radagon of the Golden Order. Radagon is simply on another level. He has it all. Damage, defense, range, etc. Even going co-op against him is such a headache due to his tendency to switch targets mid-air, mid-combo, basically anytime he wants. Not to mention his delayed strikes. Many other bosses have them, but Radagon, they hit so impossibly, devastatingly hard. Especially his grab. That's an insta-kill. Another layer of difficulty is that you can't just roll in any direction you want. You absolutely have to roll specifically according to which combo he's unleashing. For instance, his hammer swing to the front cone after effect, which requires you roll sideways. You roll front or back, you get hit. And so on for all his other attacks, requiring specific corresponding moves. Come Phase 2, he starts teleporting with little energy blasts as he appears. Especially here, you must roll perfectly. On top of that, he starts attacking much more frequently, almost to the point of spamming. Overall, he is crushingly difficult, much more than Elden Beast. He would be the hardest Elden Ring boss, if not for his daughter. Number 1.
I am Malenia, Blade of Miquella, and I have never known defeat.
Yep, we all knew this was coming. Malenia is hands down the Queen of Pain and easily one of the hardest bosses in video games ever made. She has the full combo variety of bosses like Morgott and the damage output of Radagon. To top that off, she heals after every hit. Her sword has better range than you expect, hitting you at the tip even after you rolled back. Her 3-hit slash can't be avoided unless you roll straight forward. If you do, prepare to dodge again as she chains those slashes with different attacks. Oh, and your only warning is a little spark in her hand. And how could we forget her waterfowl dance? This might just be the hardest hitting, hardest to dodge attack in any From Software game yet. After a short wind-up leap into the air, Malenia will launch 3 successive flurry attacks that will completely annihilate your health. What's more, it doesn't matter if you're halfway across the arena, she will catch up to you halfway through her combo. Blooming into the Goddess of Rot, Malenia unleashes even more airborne combos, one of which is her opening attack, Scarlet Aeonia. She shoots down on you from above and blossoms the Rot Flower, covering a lot of ground. However, this is one of the few windows for you to attack if you're a mage or have ranged weapons. Attack her while the flower is blooming. Another attack opportunity arises when she floats in the air, sending 6 summons that attack you from various angles, ending with Malenia herself launching at you with a frontal stab. With all that going for her, there's no doubt. Malenia is the hardest boss in Elden Ring. However, as we said, your experience with Elden Ring depends on your build, level, and playstyle. So let us know your thoughts on which Elden Ring bosses you think could possibly outdo even Malenia. And thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.